I am looking at the web page that we will be slowly building throughout the next couple weeks to demonstrate some of the concepts we will be learning. The first thing I want to point out is I have my logo in the center of the page, and by default text always aligns to the bottom. So we have the vertical hyphen align property, and that is CSS, that will allow us to align this text to the middle of this logo. So I am using the Coffee Cup editor. I will go back into the code editor view, and now I will paste an inline style. So I have an inline style here, and here's my H1 tag, and I have my image and my logo. And if I preview, now we see that the text is vertically aligned to the middle of the image. Now notice that our text is brown. Notice that in our document we have two other areas where we have greenish text on a goldish background. These are my two H2 tags. The image and the text is inside an H1 tag. So let's take a look at our code here. Here we have the H1 tag. Here I have my H2 tag. Notice that there is no inline CSS here. So if I go up to my opening and closing style tag, and that is in the head section of my document, I will see that I have an H1 selector and an H2 selector. So we can use the HTML element as a selector, and it will call our CSS code. Notice I have two properties for the H1 selector. I have the color property and the text align property, and notice that they are both being applied. Notice that I have two styles set for my H2 selector, the color of the text, and I am using the RGB triplet, and the background color, and I am using a hexadecimal value. So I'm applying color in three different ways in this document, and by applying the CSS rule to the H2 selector, it will apply to every H2 selector in my document. Now I am going to create an external CSS document. In order to do, and I am going to do that just for the code for my H2 selector. So I'm going to actually take this code out. I will select it, and I will say Control X, and I will save my document. Now I will go up to the File menu, and you can't see the File menu from here, but I will go to File, New, CSS Web Page. And here it generates a CSS web page. Notice I have some comments, and this is for the body tag. Now I don't have anything in the body tag, so I will just delete that. And I'm going to paste Control V my CSS code. Notice we do not want the opening and closing style tag. All we want is the actual CSS. So I can save that. I can say File, Save As, and I am going to save that here in my Humane Society folder. Notice I have an index file. I will change this to, I can change that to all files, or I can leave it where it was. I just don't want it to say HTML, so I will call it styles.css and save it. Now I need to go back to my HTML document, and I will just make this look a little prettier, and I will code in my link tag. So here it's the link tag, and notice I need the rel equals style sheet, href equals the name of my file. And because I'm using HTML5, it's a one-sided tag. I do not need the /. In XHTML, you can do that. I will save this document, and now if I preview my page, notice that there are my styles. They are no longer in the HTML document, but they are being called from an external style sheet. So it is my suggestion when you start working with your CSS code, first put it in the embedded style sheet inside the document in the opening and closing style tag. Test it, make sure that you're finished with it, make sure it's what you want before you take it out. Save it in an external file, which is saved with the .css extension and then called with the link tag.